address homophobia, transphobia, and every form of phobia within the community. Most people just want to, you cannot address these things. What can we do? Someone asked the question there, what can we do? First and foremost, personal growth. I have my own experiences. I've got my own story to tell. I've had my own, horrible stories to tell about what I've gone through. And in terms of transphobia, intersexpohobia, even from the community, I've got my own stories. What did I do? I started saying, okay, how can I build myself? How can I, touch lives? The answer I'm giving may not be the total answer, because we know that somehow human beings are dynamic. Mojisola will give her own, answer. I'll give my own answer, and then you make use of what it is. Who am I? I'm visible. I'm touching lives in my own capacity. I'm educating people, because there's something I know. Knowledge is power, and what I do with that knowledge is what matters. What do you have? What knowledge bank? What is on knowledge bank around religion? What is on knowledge bank around the legal aspects? What is on knowledge bank about even yourself? What is on knowledge bank around sexual orientation and gender identity and expression? What is on knowledge bank around feminism? What's your knowledge bank around intersectional feminism? What's your knowledge bank around inclusivity? What is your knowledge bank? How can you talk to someone and say, oh, this person is really intelligent? When I saw that thing, that interview with Diva, I never knew that it went viral. Everyone was saying beauty with brains, beauty with brains, beauty with brains, including cisgender persons. Like one of the, our moderator said, he was disappointed that there was no transphobia and homophobia. Well, he said it in a positive and funny. Beauty with brains. What can you give? What can someone here say? Wow, I'm impressed. Like I also said, I've been in talks with some multimedia personnel from Nollywood, and I want to give out stories of love that is not just sex. They want to give out stories of your truths in such a way that people look at it and say, well, you're human beings. We're all human beings. So that somehow this issue around transphobia, homophobia, and all that is addressed. What is your knowledge bank? What do you have? What can you say? What can you do to address transphobia, homophobia, and every form of phobia within the society? I'll give you an example. I'll give you a story, a success story that just took place last year concerning the law that was used to vindicate it, and this was late last year. Well, it extended into this year. I think the judgment came in this year. How many of you are aware of that? So someone tries to shake you up and say, you're whoever, and tries to make you use the Bible or whatever to shake you, or say our tradition does not. What is your knowledge bank about the tradition? Where we come from? I'm an Akwa Ibomite. Women hold chieftaincy titles. What is your knowledge bank? What's your knowledge bank around sexual minorities? What's your knowledge bank around those? So when you're talking from a place of intelligence, not from what one pastor is telling you or what one religious person is telling you. Because I'm using the aspect of religion, because where we are in Nigeria, that is where they throw that card. They throw that religious card. Let me tell you something. I'm going to quote a scripture. I don't like to play the religious card, and I want to do this for a reason. I came out from my background is religious. I was a pastor at some time, and it will shock you. Now, I started trying to study the scriptures for myself, and I realized that when they quote Genesis and God created man and woman and all of that, it was not the way it was. It's not the way these pastors told to us. Actually, Adam was an intersex person. Adam was a transgender person. Adam was gender non-binary. But how will you know these things if you don't know how to harness the knowledge and throw it back at them? Well, intelligently. What is your knowledge bank around these issues? And when I came to find that out, I was in a meeting with Sterling Bank and some places, even last in Mauritius, and I said it out. And for the first time, a lot of people got that information. So if Adam is intersex or trans and all of that, why are we fighting ourselves? Why are we hateful towards lesbians? Why are we hateful towards gay people? Why are we hateful towards trans people? Why are we hateful towards intersex people? It doesn't make sense. There is something that a lot of people don't know. What is your knowledge bank? How can you use this knowledge to empower yourselves? Let me stop there. Thank you.
Much, Miss Ella. Thank you for that submission. I'll just quote one Bible verse that my dad used to use on us then. That was Hosea 4:6. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Yes. I think the major problem that is affecting Nigerians is ignorance. They don't bother to know. They are just content with their myopic basic knowledge and view of things. And this even affects this just worldwide too. But if you're talking about back home here, you say yes, that's one of their major issues. So it's just handed down knowledge that they are used to, no matter how worn out, archaic, how fake and everything. I used to tell people this, but I don't say it so that it will change their mind or anything because I still tell people I have my faith. I used to tell people this Bible that you are holding so dear, you should know that it went through the hands of a lot of white men, oh, and you know what white people are capable of doing with the truth and how they would twist it and wrap it for propaganda. We all know the story behind the fall and everything. So I tell people to put this into name, put this into mind when they are holding the Bible. And say, "Daddy said this, and the Bible said that, and the Bible said this, and the Bible said that." I also remind them that there's every possibility that this page you are seeing is not the page because there are various Bibles out there. There's the Catholic Bible, and all of these people have different sects with different Bibles, all claiming that that is the one true Bible. So when you have these various Bibles, it just makes you realize that it's not everything that you grew up hearing that is true. So ignorance is one of the major problems. So now I would want Aunt Moji to answer Kiki's question, and then if she has any final words she can give them, then I'll be handing over to my co-moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that eloquent submission, Miss Ella, and every other person that spoke. So, Kiki asked us not to, um, for lack of better, I'm going to paraphrase here, not blame the victims, right? And also, what are we doing to help? Hmm. Very often I get asked that question, right? And very often my answer is simple: nobody owes anybody anything. That's number one. You are not to be blamed for where you were raised, by whom you were raised, but you have full autonomy and power over your life. That's number one. Number two, education is the power to our freedom, is what I'm known to say a lot of. And education does not mean formal education. When I came out as a gay person, I read a lot of books about gay people. I hung out with the activists in Atlantic City. I marched, and I came on Facebook in 2009. And I believe I came out on social media in 2010. 45,000 people heard me come out. The record is there. Now, when people started coming out to me saying I'm gay, movie makers, movie actors, politicians, their wives, and I had a choice to stay with my values to the point where because of my, because when you don't re-educate yourself, that's your fault. I am a licensed minister. My church is wherever I sit. I talk about God. I talk about the universe. I have read the Quran. My middle name is Khadijat. I have read the Quran back to front. I have been a Buddhist for 15 years. I have studied Olokun. I have studied Ifa. I have books on Shogun because somebody mentioned to me in Bahia, in Brazil, when I was there and I went to visit the Ifa village, the Yoruba village. They speak Yoruba, all white people speaking Yoruba, doing Ifa, incantations and things like that. And I asked a gentleman who is a Nigerian born Ifa priest, what is your take? Because on homosexuality, because 10,000, and you can Google it, African Americans go to Nigeria every year. At least 70% of those people are Christians that walked away from God that are homosexuals. The gentleman told me, it's not their business. If I focuses on your values, if I focuses on you following the rules of the universe and the land, that was one. Now, when you ask me, what are we doing? I'm not one that shouts. I'm a doer. I've been doing what I'm doing for the past, I think, since 2009. There's very rarely can you find an LGBTQ activist that's at least 35 and below that did not come through what I call my camp. I met my wife in 2016. I was paying for doctor's appointments, trying to school them. You have to understand, I'm a mother. I have 4 children. My oldest is 32. My youngest is 22. So I am not going to sit here or sit anywhere and see that there's a better way to do things and not speak. How do we help? We help through visibility. We help through showing a snippet of our lives to people that don't have a voice. We speak for the voiceless. We support people through education. And when push comes to shove, we have lawyers on payroll that we call when something happens. But here's the problem with a lot of Nigerian LGBTQs, right? The problem I see in the community is a follow follow mentality. I asked a young man one day, very prominent Nigerian LGBTQ activist, I said, do you know anything about Stonewall? He said, what is that? How can you be an LGBTQ activist and not know about Stonewall? That is the playbook for fighting homophobia. How? Explain to me. How do you not know about Stonewall that took all of us loose way before I even knew what the word was for gay? I just knew I liked girls. A lot of these people don't study. When you give them books to read, they'll be reading BC Daughter of the River and all kinds of storybooks instead of reading, enlightening themselves, because education is what nobody can take away from you, right? How can we help? We have, when people start to have critical thinking skills and not following the herd, life will become better for us LGBTQIAs all around. The people I fear the most are Nigerian LGBTQs because they will rip you apart. They will tear you down mentally. What they do in their WhatsApp groups is scary. I get the screenshots where they're dragging me because how dare her think she's better than me? Honey, I'm not better than you. What it is that I'm a lot older than you and I have walked this earth longer than you and I have studied and I have walked with people that changed the movement in the United States and I don't know much. So I am here to learn just as much as you are. But here's what I can bring to the table. My wife, Margaret, is our first African, Nigerian, name it, to be inducted into the Stonewall Hall of Fame. People don't know that. You know the people taking off their clothing on social media, right? They follow them like herds. And then they go and do the same thing. There's a group I call the Naked Brigade, that they're always naked on social media. Now, if I imagine me, my mother, who, thank God my mother grew up in Kaduna, so she knows about it and do, so she doesn't have a problem with my sexuality. But she has a problem with me not going to school. She has a problem with me being naked on social media. So people will come and say, oh, they're homophobic, it's because I'm gay. Okay, no. It's because even if you were straight, your parents will still be upset about a lot of the things that. And I get it's because you've been told that you're less, because I, for a long time, believed that I was less as well. But when we are having intelligent conversations, when we're trying to talk about the different, sexualities, the different nuances, what's the difference between right? A stud is a male horse. That's what Nigerians call masculine off-center women, which we did in America many, many years ago before we understood what that means. I believe in God. Whatever you call yourself is what you will become. So when you call your partner a stud, and then the partner starts slipping around, honey, you named her, you coined her the male horse. She's only living up to her name. See, I make a lot of jokes, but in reality, the fact is that me, I believe in working with people that will add value to my life. When I first came out, I made friends with everybody. Name the person that's one of your rock stars today. They have my camp. It's either I supported them financially or I was homeless in this America and I was still supporting Nigerian LGBTQs, the same people that talk crap about me today. But despite that, last point, we created Solar Wilson Guardian Angel Scholarship Program in 2022. We sent it to all the LGBTQ rock stars. Not one posted it. There's a particular group on IG. I sent them the stuff 2022. They said I had to pay them to post this. Mind you, my wife and I are the ones that support this program ourselves. We are self-funded. We don't collect grants because we don't want anybody to come and put them out. Right? And or donate $5 and then be asking us, what did you do with our $5? We support the students ourselves. We have a staff on ground in Nigeria. We put this thing together. We sent it out. Not a single one of them posted it. We had 68 students the first year. Last year, because of the trolling by LGBTQ people dragging me all over Clubhouse, we shut it down once we hit 38. That was last year. This year, we're coming back with full force. We're taking 100 Nigerian students. It would have been great for all these LGBTQ activists to support this thing so that we can help to empower other LGBTQ people. But they don't support people that want to do things that will transform this thing. When we talk about lobbying, they don't want to be a part of it. So then what do we do? My wife woke up one day when I was upset and crying. My wife said to me, you can't boil the ocean. You can boil the ocean one cup at a time. So what do? We take the few people that want the help, right? Last 2023, we brought a Nigerian LGBTQ person to America. self-funded. We can't bring 220 million people over. It's your responsibility, human being, to find spaces where you can grow, not where they're just talking about tutu. Everybody does that. Bees, dogs, cats. What's more, 24 hours in the day, you can't be stroking tutu unless you're a sex worker all day. So what do? You ask me, what can we do? No, what can you do as an individual? Because you can't help the world. You can't save everybody. You can only save those that come to the table that you have prepared. I'm not bringing the table into people's bedrooms. As we continue to fight this law, which I don't even believe today, if the president woke up today and scratched this law, many people will not come out. And they will not come out because they're afraid. They will not come out because they don't want to be seen as gay, because to them, being gay is a dirty word. It takes healing. You have to do that work yourself. You are responsible for yourself. All anybody else can do is give you the seat at the table. You must now take your cutlery and bring the food into your mouth. I hope that answered your question. My name is Lee. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Moji. That was quite that was insightful, and it came with a lot of power. Thank you very much. Um, you said a lot of things in a very short time. Uh, in, I raised my hand for quite a while now because I think we downplayed the part where we need to empower, where we need to focus on empowerment as community members. Am I audible enough? I think I can hear some feedback.
I think the feedback is from your end. I don't know.
Really? I have no noise interference here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So one thing I think we need to put some emphasis on as people or as activists or as community members is we need to really look into drive home the need for empowerment of some people.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Mrs. Moji. I'm aware there's a question inside on the chat box, and I'd like Alafi to please answer it. And it's like it says I'm trying to look at the question because I'm trying to look for the question. I think Love Bob says, can I drop the question because I can't talk currently where I am. I'm trying to look for the question. If you can hear me, Love Bob, please drop your question or you have the floor. Love Bob, can you hear me?
Okay, from what I can see in the comment section, I think they said they are in transit and they would not be able to ask their question verbally. That was why they dropped it in the comment section. So and
Okay.
the person that is supposed to respond is not even on stage.
Available to probably network locking up.
Provide, yeah.
So I think
So I think there's another
another
person
person
raising.
again.
I think he dropped the question in between. So if you open that says I have a question, he dropped it in between. So just open it. It's like a thread.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
It still points to the fact that the person that the question was addressed to is currently not on stage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I
The question
think
is, how do we view the role of legal professionals and law enforcement in addressing the issue of conduct therapy? Oh, okay, I think it's unfortunate not here. So I see a hand connected to. Oh, I think the Lord the first. Okay, first black. You raise your hands. First black pope. First black pope. Yes, you have the floor. You can ask a question.
So can I read out the question Lovebug had dropped? He had said, in what ways can communities and institutions better support LGBTQ individuals who have undergone conversion therapy? That was question one. And question two was, how do they view the role of legal professionals and law enforcement in addressing the issue of conversion therapy? Those were his two questions, which I think are very insightful. And it would be nice to hear maybe Pelumi address this.
Okay. Should we take that first or first black pope's question? I saw he was raising his hand.
Okay, I think we should take first that whole thing. We can.
Because we have the floor.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone, wherever you're listening from. Well, I don't have a question. At some point, I lost connection with the space because I was on transit. At where I stopped hearing, or where I disconnected from, was where Auntie Moji was saying something, and it really struck me. Anybody who knows me, who know a story about me. So she said something that she has picked my kind. And Auntie Moji, I want to really appreciate you for picking my kind into your fold. I thought I was the only one who has been that kind of person before. Well, I am first black pope, a gay man, and it might shock you, but I am an ex-keto. So it's shameful to say this because at some point while Auntie Moji was speaking, I felt to leave the group because I was feeling this guilt in me. Why was I feeling this guilt in me? I don't know. But I stayed through, and she said something that rekindled my spirit, and I love it. I've been listening to Auntie Moji. I listened to her, I've not been listening to her, but listening to her once when she was talking about on Instagram about Tenny, not people. It struck me since then. I've never let go of what she speaks on Instagram. Most times when I go there, I just want to find her and hear her speak. And I'm not saying this for some attention or something, but the fact is, Auntie Moji, you are a blessing to this community. I don't know who's fighting you, but I know for sure that you're a blessing to this community. Yeah, I'm not trying to ask a question, please, sorry. But I'm just trying to chip this in and also say that um, Nelson Mandela said something. To change the world, we need education. And on this day of International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia, I think I should tell everyone, or I should tell all who cares to listen, that the problem of the LGBTQ plus persons in Nigeria, or the community in Nigeria, most of our problems, I don't have a statistic yet, but I would say 80% of our problems are caused by us. Why? We are not enlightened as queer persons, as LGBTQ persons in Nigeria. We don't read, we don't learn, we don't unlearn, we don't want to know. We are just where we are. Before the Diva's case came up, where she talks and had to answer the questions of that interviewer, there have been some representations. And I'll tell you from the trans persons, and also I'll tell you also there has been also some representations from gay persons, so from lesbian persons in Nigeria. And it has been a wrong representation. We gave the wrong people the fame and which they are using to influence others. The persons who are to be there to influence people are not there. The persons who live their truth are not persons at the system or are persons at the chairman with all those big names, heads of NGOs. They are not those persons. The persons who are living their truth in Nigeria are those ones who you will not hear speak. Those ones who will not come online to talk. Those ones who would not post their pictures. Those are the persons who live their truth. So, on this day, how do we fight this? And you can go and see Ugandans, what they do there. If we want to replicate what Ugandans are doing in Nigeria, which I know we have the force, we have the power, we can do it. But the fair fact is, your leaders. I said some time ago sometime last year, I said members of the community should hold their leaders accountable. And someone said there are no leaders. Yes, there are leaders. There are elections going on with people who are representing you as queer persons, as LGBTQ plus persons in Nigeria. And they are elected. They are vice chairman, they are vice chairs, they are whatnot. Those persons should be held accountable, because if we want to fight against all of those vices, we need those persons to be visible. We need those persons at the TG, whatever, to be visible. We need those persons at the lesbian, whatever, to be visible. We need those persons at the transgender, whatever, to be visible. We need those persons to live their truth. We don't want some persons, sorry to say, we don't want persons like the likes of James Brown and Bobrisky who do not know themselves. Compare James Brown and Bobrisky. They only had the courage, they only had that boldness to say, yes, this is me, but they don't have a knowledge of who they are. That's why when you saw Diva speaking that, everybody was like, wow. There are some persons who are gay, who are lesbians, who don't even know what they are. Some persons who will still tell you the only time they can contract HIV is when someone does not come into them. There are some persons, and what are we doing to solve that issue? It all boils down to education. We are not educated. The persons who are there at the front line to educate us are only hosting parties. They're only sharing loops to us. They're only telling us to come to a party, to come to Pride event, to come to this one, to flag ourselves. And when we are being harassed on the road, they don't come to our aid. Those are the persons who should live their truth, who should be visible, who should educate us on who we are. And they are not there. And you tell me, okay, since these persons are not there, that is why I myself, I stand and talk and I beat my chest to it. I was self-schooled. Everything I know now, I went in search of it. I followed the likes of Miss Ella. I followed the likes of Auntie Moji. I followed the likes of Pamela Adie. Those are the persons who I knew while I decided to try to explore that part of myself in 2017. Nobody forced me to it. I was not converted. That's why you see some persons who are supposed to be there still saying conversion. They converted somebody. Who do you? There's no word like converting in the community. So all of this, all these issues, if we really want to solve it, if we want to change the status quo, if we want to change the narrative, we should be educated. There are some persons who are not educated, who still fear, who still don't know that. See, as an ex-keto, I will tell you that the only thing a victim is afraid of is if their family would know about it, and they are ashamed to speak about it because they are afraid nobody will speak on their behalf. So a keto uses that as an advantage over you. But once they know, your family knows about you, you are out there, you are proud, they're not born their papa well to keto you. Someone said, how do we stop keto? Hello, educate them first. Let them know their rights. Let them know that if they are being, because majority of keto cases we hear in Nigeria are hookup cases, where you go meet someone and the person hooks you up with, and the person comes in with his friends and or whatnot and does bad things to you. That's majority of 95% of keto cases are hookup cases, are hookup gone wrong. So if we want to change that, we should let them know that, okay, if I'm in that situation, I should demand to speak with the police, please. I was not in that. I did not. The 3 times I was ketoed, I did not have that idea. So I'll stop here. I'm talking too much. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Gosa, I got that correctly. You have the floor. Thereafter, we have Auntie Moji. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are listening from. Egosa. So I just wanted to make a quick contribution. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to be able to attend the space, but then I saw it and I was interested, and I'm glad I'm listening in. There's actually been a lot of insightful contributions, and yes, I'm just grateful to be listening to this. So I just want to say that I know it's people have spoken about this already, education, and it's such a big deal and such a big thing, and it's so important to really tackling homophobia and biphobia and transphobia and intersexphobia in any country, and specifically with Nigeria. But I also want us to look at this from as a whole, which is it's not just education of it's not just education of people who are LGBTQ people. Of course, that's very important. The self-education and the education of people who are LGBTQ themselves. That's where it starts from, and that's a very good starting point. But I think many of the problems we're actually experiencing are it's systemic and they're interconnected. I think um, uh, Ella David already said something like that, and which is very important. There's a lot of intersectionality, and one of the problems we are having is that let's even forget parents and maybe older people. Let's just put them aside. I'm looking at the future and I'm thinking, is there even a chance that we can make progress with regards to homophobia, transphobia, intersexphobia in Nigeria? And one key thing is a general increase in education. So these things are not they're not really so separate as we think. The fact that the government in Nigeria is not working, the fact that there's a poor level of education on average, the fact that many people are living below the poverty line, those things are a big deals. They're like big contributing factor to the persistence of homophobia. And if you, I'll just give myself as an example. Really, I was very privileged to be in an educated class, sort of, because obviously I was in a medical school. And in medical school, I was out in medical school, and whenever people hear my story or people who know me and colleagues, and they're like, so you're out to all your friends and all your colleagues and all your classmates, everyone in medical school just knew that you were gay. And I used to tell them that was easiest part. That was probably easier than being out in, if you lived in Ajegunle, because I was schooling in Lasut. And everybody in that medical school, a good number of them had a certain level of education. A good number of them had things to lose. There were things that people could not just do. There was a certain level of civility that was already expected because they were there.
so they obviously they will mob you in the middle of the road. So it was easier. That's the truth. Obviously, it did help that I, also had the privilege of being educated myself. But it's also important that the people around us are educated. And for those of us when we do have those kind of privileges, because I must admit this is not the same for everyone. Everyone would not have those kind of privilege. When we do have those kind of privileges, which is what you know uh, G was saying, it's quite important to use them to be visible because we do have those kinds of privilege, and there are people that we have people that we can influence, and that covers a class. I can tell you that I remember someone in my class did a project about homophobia in, I think, Lasso or Jaw, because that was the main campus, and they did this, homophobia and how it affects the prevalence of um, sexually transmitted diseases and HIV among people, gay men and men who have sex with men and stuff like that. And someone posted, because it was our final year project, we've gone a few years with me being gay now. So someone posted on the group on that final year time, and then they were like, this project, I would like to really see the outcome of it. And someone was like, okay, why would you want to, why is this so interesting to you? And they were like, I don't know. Some people are not speaking. So invariably, they were referring to obviously the gay person in the group. And what was interesting was I did not have to say a word. I did not say a word throughout that whole thread. It was just people who were just countering points, who were just, making the points, who were just fighting. Someone even left the group. I'm not going to lie. She left the group and she was like, I am not going to. Do you know that this thing that that someone just inferred, they were not even bold enough to say it, obviously, that someone just inferred can get us shit because that is homophobia. And you know that this thing you people just said is just quite childish, and I'm not even going to tolerate that because I'm not going to tolerate any bigotry in this group, and I'm going to leave. And the person left because of that. So I didn't even have to say a word at all. But obviously, the fact that there have been people around me that I've been able to educate, people that I've been able to speak to, that was what was speaking for me at that point. So I think more than just educating ourselves, because that's the first point, and I'm sure that has been overstressed. Growing and knowing who we are, one important thing is actually to leverage on our little privileges where we have them to actually educate other people to um, think of these problems as intersectional and as a whole, as problems that are are not bits or parts. They're really the problem as a whole, which is that there's a lot of poorly educated people. There's a lot of people um, who are just living in situations that are not really allowing them to think, and to work covertly and overtly where we can to improve that so that we can actually make some progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elsa, for that beautiful submission. I'm sorry I had to interject. Before Auntie Moji and Mixella will raise their hands, would speak, I just want to um, quickly drop a submission. And it speaks to everything everyone has said so far. I Let me start first by appreciating everyone who has stayed this long to listen to what everybody has had to say. I would say, as the host organization of this event, I would say I'm impressed, and I'm grateful for your patience. However, I just want to speak to what one of the things Antimoji said about the information being right there, and the fact that in the Nigerian LGBTQI space, people do the follow thing. And for me, I would say yes, it is the truth, because my mom used to tell me something that sometimes what you do is influenced by the kind of the kind of people you follow, the kind of content you engage in. There's some, like one of my mentors would always tell me that there are some persons they don't follow on Instagram or on any social platform because these people would mislead you. The truth is, for we NGOs and we activists in Nigeria, many of us, I'm talking about the true activists now, many of us are trying our best. Just like Antimoji said, it's not everybody that likes to blow their trumpet. There are a lot of things that we even do that don't make it out to the media, that we just do just because of the love that we have for the community. And we just do it selflessly without even having the intent to get any personal gains from it. But the truth remains, are people in this community ready? Just like Antimoji said, I'm sorry I'm making reference because everything she said resonates well with me. And it just begs the question: are community members ready to actually, leave their comfort zone? Okay, we're talking about this keto issue now, and it takes me back to 2021, or I think, yeah, 2021 or 2020, thereabouts, where appears once, we did a campaign and we made flyers out there, and we even hosted sessions just to educate people. But the truth is, community members will always be community members. They would rather do what is on their mind, and still come crying out as a victim, and it just it sends a signal to my head, and it makes me wonder. It makes me question where this community is going to, because the information is out there. Everything we need is out there. There are some organizations that are doing some empowerment programs, but you will never find community members there. For instance, this program that we're currently hosting, it was well publicized, but you would never see people. They would rather use their data to go and watch people exposing their bodies on TikTok. They would rather invest in mediocre things that are mediocrity. And when they now become victims of these terrible incidences, they would now come and say we NGOs are not doing anything. Whereas, to deviate a bit, for a while now we have been talking about safe sex, because affairs one's majors, our current project majors on creating awareness on safe sex and sexual health. Basically, we have been shouting, okay, these are ways to have sex safely, and like I said, there are a lot of information out there. But are community members following the right people? Just like Auntie Moji said, they have been trolling now on Clubhouse for a very, very long time. They have been trolling now for a very, very long time, and it just like I said, it sent a signal to my head that when would people learn to start following the right content, following the right people? What we need is out there. What we need to excel as a community. There are a lot of resources, there are a lot of opportunities out there, but are we actually paying attention to these things? So this is like a food for thought for everyone on this space, and everyone that has claimed or are claiming to be activists, because I can see some of my colleagues on this space. Please let us endeavor to ensure that we keep on, we don't give up, and we keep on spreading the right information. Over to you, Auntie Moji. Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank
Asimoji,
you
before
so
you take
much. Go
over,
ahead.
follow this, please. Dr. Gosa, can you please mute your mic? Thank you. Asimoji, you can continue.
So I want to say a huge thank you to the first Black Pope for having the courage to come up here, right? Second of all, Dr. Igosa, I hope that's how you say your name. Thank you for lending your voice. See, you showing up, all of you guys that showed up today, you are the ones that are looking for change, right? And change does not always come with appreciation. Your work, your hard work, just by being yourself, just by walking in your authentic skin, that on its own is a revolutionizing thing to do, because there will be other people that will see you and go, oh my God, if he can do it, she can do it. I can do it, or she can do it, or he can do it. Bottom line is, now, somebody mentioned Bobrisky. I'm going to sit here and tell you, without Bobrisky, a lot of the conversations Nigerians are having about homosexuality or transgenderism and all that stuff, it won't be there, right? And even though I don't agree with Bobrisky's tack, because for me, the way I see it is, look, we all know that money makes Nigeria move. So look at the events she gets invited to. Look at the places. They don't have a good party in Nigeria unless Bobrisky is there. Do I agree with shaking your bum bum on social? Of course not. Do I agree with being half clad on social media? Of course not. See, activism is a double-edged sword that if you're not intentional about what you're trying to, the messaging that you're trying to give, you might send out the wrong messages. I've seen one of the reasons why I don't follow Bobrisky, even though I go to her page a lot to see what she's doing, is that I have seen her say on video, I'm not gay. I've seen her say on video, because there's some questions they will ask me and I won't answer if I don't want to. You can't, if I'm in a setting where I don't think they deserve it, I'm not going to tell it. So Bobrisky, without Bobrisky, we must always give respect to those that came before us because they did what they knew how to do. Now we don't pass all of that, right? We've passed all this naked brigade stuff. Now we have to fight them. We have to empower ourselves to sit at the tables where the laws are being made. And I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. When my wife got the job that she has now, the American embassy, the Nigerian embassy picked up the story. All the newspapers picked up the story. When we got married, all the newspapers, all the TV stations, everywhere, they picked up the story. But they could not say I was doing coin. They said Muji Solo Wilson, the real estate mogul, or the real estate eliminated a lot of those bars, even though we got it from the people, right? And a lot of those people were people that were gay that I know were gay. But to belong to the crowd, They too had some negative things to say. That's number one. Dr. Ahosa talked about educating the people around us. There are too many educated illiterates walking around. That's the bottom line. And when you carry yourself in a particular way, on my Facebook page, which is where I have a lot of my followers, I used to have 5,000 friends. When I got married, I realized that the people that I thought were my real friends were the ones that sold the story out to the bloggers, and they came after me. One told me to go and jump off the Verrazana Bridge and kill myself. These are people that I know, that I speak to on the phone and things like that. And when push came to shove, they were the ones pouring the gasoline on my body to set me ablaze. Right? Now, when we talk about activists, there are people that are doing it from their heart, and there are people that are doing it to be popular. There are people that are doing it to be popular and to make money. An example of that is a young woman that was in Nigeria and said she was leaving, she wanted to go to school. And we said, well, she wanted to do a master's. We were like, okay, we'll support you. She found her way to Dubai while she was in Dubai, getting the paperwork ready to go to the UK. Now, she called me one day and said, oh, they stopped the medical something something in Dubai for Nigerians. And if you don't have it, the job she has is no longer paying for the medical insurance. And if she doesn't have it, she's going to have to leave. So we sent her, I think it was 958,000. No, it was 1.2 million or something like that, Naira. We're talking about 3 years ago. This is a huge Facebook LGBTQ activist, always shouting how she loves women. She actually dated one of the Nigerian female activist. That's how I met her, right? So we sent her 1.2 million naira. In less than 2 weeks, this girl got married to a man. You have no idea how I felt. The same thing when a young man was trying to was kicked out by his parents. We called one of these NGOs that allegedly, this was in 2016, that allegedly has shelters, halfway houses for displaced LGBTQI people. So I sent money for the passport to get the passport ready, because we work with different organizations in the United States, right? And this person used the money to pay for that we sent to pay for their own master's degree program. I mean, I could tell you stories and stories and stories, but I'm going to tell you one last story, which is what I want you to walk away with when we talk about education. My wife, Margaret, is a masculine of center woman. She started her job in 2008. By the way, before she got here, when she left Nigeria to go to the UK, she had to do her residency over. For you guys that are doctors, she did her residency in Nigeria, finished, came here, then did her residency in the UK, because you can't get to the board without doing residency. You can't take the state board. So she did it over in cardiology. Then now she's got 2 certifications in 2 countries. Now she comes to the United States, and the same thing over. You have to do it over. So she did the residency 3 times, but now she's certified in 3 different countries, right? So she kept struggling and working, always showing up as herself. One day she became the chief medical officer for global, the whole world. Nigeria started to call. Then in 2014 or so, the law came out that same gender marriage is an abomination, 14 years. Now, when she got picked as one of the 50 most influential executives in America, as gay as she is, as Nigerian as she is, the Nigerian government started to lobby for her to come and help them, because she builds healthcare systems across the globe. 2 years ago, she now became the chief medical officer for the whole enchilada, 450,000 doctors under her. Now Nigeria is hot. Guess what? Not only when you become educated, I don't care if you're a birisope, you're a plumber, just be the best of whatever it is. Not just for yourself, but for the other people that are looking at you, right? So now Nigeria is now trying to court her to help them build a healthcare system. Guess what she's leveraging? Anybody take a guess? Please, I need somebody else to interject in this one. She's leveraging the 14-year law. You cannot say I'm a criminal and now want me to come and help you set up healthcare system for your country. So when people say, what are you doing? Just because you don't see it on social media does not mean people are not doing. We go to the steps at least once or twice a month. Lord, things are happening. Instead of people to join hands, because no man makes a city. When you reach out to join hands with people, they'll say, oh, this particular famous LGBTQI activist doesn't like you, so I'm sorry, we can't do this with you. It doesn't make sense. Because if we all come together as a unit, as a group, and we bring whatever it is, oh, I'm good at cooking. Okay, when you have your meeting, I'll supply the jollof rice. You are, because me, I don't have a master's degree. I just have a first degree. I'm just doing me. I'm a market woman. I sell houses, right? When we come together as a people, we can create magic. But until we educate each other as to what the law states, because a lot of people don't even know that there's human rights laws that says nobody can beat you, they don't know. So when we create these spaces, instead of throwing parties, throw your party, but make sure a lawyer shows up to give them information about the new laws that are in place. Nothing wrong with that. If party is the one that's going to get people to come out, have the party, but bring a little bit more substance to the table. This is not about it being an elitist person. This is just how this war will be won. In America, the war was not even won by black people. It was rich men, gay white men that were Republicans that funded the movement. Do your homework. Do your homework. We have a lot of gay people in powerful places in Nigeria. Like I said before, we are not coming to Nigeria, not because we don't know we can pay. We can pick up the phone and call a couple of people in my family, in her family, and we'll have army or Lopa. Everybody will be there to protect us. But there's a price to pay for everything. You cannot want to fight the movement and still want the heterosexual privileges.
Yes,
Lastly,
please. I think it's your network.
lastly, we cannot want to fight for homosexual, transgender, intersex rights while still wanting the heterosexual privileges. We have to create our own normal. I watch young people in relationship. One is a husband, lesbians. One is a husband, one is a wife. I'm like, wait, wait, wait. You're a lesbian. You're calling your partner a woman, a husband. The person has not told you they're a trans man. So if you are in a same gender relationship, I did that stage one day and they abused Shege because they don't understand how important it is for Nigerians to continuously hear my wife, my husband, my whatever as a same gender loving couple. I was on what was it? I was on last point. I was on what's this thing called? Um TikTok last night. I like Nigerian music. I like Owambe stuff. My head, look, you can't take me to an Owambe party. I'll give them my shoes, my daily, my everything. So I'm on TikTok, and there's this young man that follows me that's a musician. Every time I see his stuff, I go and I show support. This guy did homework. He's a musician. Oh, I'm there. Baba Shukra, Mama Shukra, his followers, right? And this guy is singing about Moji, Yawo, Dr. Margaret, and Kidikon. This is how you create change. When we talk about visibility, because while the guy is there, we're sending him money guns, money guns, money guns. If we go to dinner, we'll spend $200 a night, right? Maybe even more if we go with more people. We spent, my wife is on there. He's shouting, Dr. Wilson, Doctor of the World, Kiniko, Kiniko. 1,700 Nigerians were on that stage, on that page with him. He spent 10 minutes shouting about Moji, what I do, who I am, the fact that I'm married to a woman. That is what visibility is. That's how you change the narrative. Not everybody is going to have the position that you have. But you, like Dr. Gosa said, you have to use your privilege to create spaces for other people. The next time this musician sees another gay couple, he will be warm to them because he has engaged with them. On my social media page, I don't talk about LGBTQ issues alone. I talk about being a parent. I talk about normal real life. And when I do that, I tell them, as a lesbian woman, it's kind of slightly different. Now they're all used to people that are gay. When somebody that doesn't even know anything about my page comes there and talks nonsense, I don't have to speak. They will beat the person up with big English words. Pidgin English, they will flog the person well, well. That's how we create change. We can't create change in the closet. Magic never happens in the closet. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you very much, Auntie Moji. Thank you so much. I didn't get a part of it because I guess network locked me out. Because of our time, let me take Miss Ella and Chukwuma, if I'm correct. That I think we should just wrap up with it too, because by Mike Chukwemeka, so Miss Ella and Chukwemeka, so we'll wrap up with that. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited listening to Moji speak because she speaks a lot to our reality. Let me add to what she says. Change comes with sacrifice. We're addressing homophobia, transphobia. We want to talk of positive visibility. Then, as activists, you can be an activist in your own sphere. You don't need to make so much noise. For those that understand their privilege, you should also understand that change comes with sacrifice. You cannot be an activist and say, "What I want to eat my cake and have it." It doesn't work that way. The moment you're sensitive to the fact that a lot of lives are in your hands, my dear, that is the beginning. Change, positive representation, without any form of political correctness, because I see a lot of things. Mojisola wanted to shake a table. I laughed at I just giggled. So the table she shook. I hear a lot of political correctness, around why you should not do this, why you should not create that change. Forgetting that change, I'll still say it comes with sacrifice. And as activists, there comes a time you have to sit down and say, hey, personal accountability. What does that mean? I sit down, self-reflect. This thing that I'm doing, I know that yes, I have a right to enjoy my life and do some certain things, but hey, how is it going to affect the next person? This life that I'm going to touch. I know I want to create freedom. I want people to be free. But you should realize that as an activist, as a leader, as someone that understands their privilege, you should also understand that whatever we do touches the life, touches the next person. Black people saying that they look at Muchi, they look at me. I'm sure Diva saw like, wow, I never knew that what I said, that interview I did, touch life. I can someone like, wow, I never knew that this. Because somehow people are looking. We're all here, like Moji said, we want that change. But Who is going to bail the cat? And somehow there's this fire within. I see what happens within the community. I see what happens at high places. People that are meant to touch lives, they use political correctness to mess it up. And then somehow it looks as if we're not making progress. How do we address homophobia, transphobia, visibility, positive representation without any form of political correctness, understanding that if we want this change, sacrifice comes in. Personal sacrifice comes in. Not wanting to enjoy the heteronormative privileges, all those heterosexual, not wanting to not wanting to live a lie. I'm so excited with this meeting that we're having. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ella, for that insight.
Okay, I think we lost the co-moderator. Can everyone hear me, please? All right. Okay. Thank you so much. So, Chukwuemeka, please, can we have you in the next 2 minutes? I can see your hands up for a while. So, please, can we just have your submission in the next 2 minutes while we prepare to wrap up this session? Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me, please. So, actually, I have a question, but before I asked my question, I want to thank everyone that has made this space a very interesting and educative one. So now to my question. We are talking about not leaving anybody, anybody being left out. Now, I want to talk about, I want to ask about the younger ones who are growing up and naive about their sexuality. Okay, let me use myself for instance. As a young boy growing up at the age of 6, I was abused by someone who I thought was going to be a good friend and more or less give me this a good friend. He's more older than me, but I was abused by this individual, and yet later on at a more advanced age, not really advanced, but let me say, okay, within the age of 13, 14, I was abused again, and not just being abused, I was outed by this so-called abuser. He outed me to my family, and that really affected my education because the consequence of what happened that period is what I, as a person, is still going through now. And I had to pick up myself. I make sure, even if I don't have that formal education, at least I have a skill for myself, which I have worked tooth and nail to make sure that, okay, I make myself who I am today, to the standard I am, even if I am not where I want to be. So my question is, what is the plan, or what do we have in stock as a community for this younger generation? Because they are the future. They are the future we are looking out for. Because if we don't train these people, or if we don't guide them in that aspect, they need us. Because I won't lie to you, most of the adults we have out there, they are wolves in cheap clothing, because these people are not ready to lead these children. Instead, they are ready to take advantage of them. I am a living witness. I know what I went through. So most of these people are not ready to, okay, this child, he comes to me and makes advances to me. Now, what can I do? Instead of you advising that child, you are planning on how to have sex with that child. And with that, it is destroying that child, because that child already has the picture in his head that, okay, everything should be all about sex. That is how we train the individuals we have in our present community today. Because the people that were supposed to guide them made them to understand that queer life is all about sex. And it is very, 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 very wrong. So I want to know, we are not leaving these younger ones out, the younger generation out. What is the plan? What is the plan for this younger generation, so that we won't only be creating more issues for the future, but let us create a better space for the future. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. We have had very insightful contribution. First of all, I'm so sorry about what you went through. I mean, it's been so traumatic for you going through that at a very young age. But I must applaud you, because you don't even try. You don't even like someone who doesn't have a formal education. You speak intelligently, and I mean, some persons who went through school are not even able to contribute intelligently to conversations like this. That is a huge plus. You've done so well for yourself. That's 100, 110 things across the board. I would like Auntie Moji to speak about being a parent. I'd like her to speak to that. And probably Akapel. Okay, let's do it in this order. Akapel first, maybe in 2 minutes, and Auntie Moji in 2 minutes. Thank you very much. Are you there, Acapel?
Okay. So okay, let me just I mean, what's the essence of being empowered? Empowerment and knowledge, access to information is just so we can nobody will be naive. I think I almost had a little bit of that. But I think there is a difference between having a sexual orientation and being an abuser. These are two different things. One is an orientation and the other one is a criminal act. So let's separate these two. And if we begin to call out people, hold people accountable, call out people in this circle, I don't think that we are so much. Hold people responsible, call out people, shame people if you have to, because you can't leave people with trauma added to the traumatic experience of being in a Nigerian setting. Let people, regardless of the fact that you're a community or not, if you are found culpable, you should face the law. That's just the way I see it. A crime is a crime. The fact that you are a leader or you're in a leadership position is not a yardstick for you to abuse people that comes to you for support or for counseling. We're seeing issues like that most times being swept under the carpet. People beg and say, no, I don't want to. Okay, please, sorry. No, it goes beyond that. The impact of what you do to people lives with them. Most people don't get to overcome their trauma for the rest of their life. They get to struggle with these things. And most times, we don't want this younger one to speak out. No, that's not the era. We are in the era where if you're being abused, you face whether or not you experience this abuse within the community, speak out. If it's externally, speak out. Somebody must listen to you. Somebody must come to your aid. That's just about what I want to say about this
Thank you
one.
very much. Thank you. Auntie Moji, will you please take the floor?
So, if you know me, you know I like to talk, so I'm going to make this real short. I commend your courage for coming up to speak and share your story with us. And I'm so sorry for what you went through. Unfortunately, Nigeria is filled with a lot of, actually, the world is filled with a lot of peas. And if you guys remember, about maybe 3 years ago, the peas in America were trying to come under the rainbow flag, and we fought them tooth and nails. Because there's a difference between being a homosexual and being a pea person, a pedophile. There's straight people that are peas, there are gay people that are peas, the only people that don't get in that thing is asexual people, and they can still emotionally molest people, right? Now, when you ask me what can we do, we talk about visibility. A lot of the younger generation, even though they see it on TikTok, they see couples that are being. This is my what number 7. Generally will be 8 years. I've been married to my wife, and people that know us will tell you, real life is what you see. We don't even show a lot of it because bad, right? It's about visibility. It's about them seeing. It's about them having access to information. That's why we created LGBTQ Sanctuary. We try not to do goosebumps in there. We try to have educational conversations. Yesterday, for instance, on Clubhouse, a young lady came in there and said, "Oh, I think I might be gay, yada yada yada." My wife that doesn't like to talk on social media jumped on the call and counseled her. Another person came on stage and said, "Oh, by the way, I'm in a bad relationship. I know this guy is emotionally abusing me, yada, yada, yada." We talked him through. We gave him insights. We gave him what we could, right? See, when I came out as a gay woman, we had mentors. People, we used to call them mothers and fathers. Today, they don't have it. If you've never watched the movie Pose or Paris is Burning, you need to go and watch it, because what we are doing, when we get shunned by family, by the way, I have 4 kids, 2 of them are not talking to me because I chose to live an authentic life today. That's part of the price I paid. So when you go out there, remember that there's other people, hopefully younger people watching you. I keep talking about accessibility to the truth, not politically correct issues that brings in the dollars for the NGOs. And I'm not saying all NGOs. I'm talking about having conversations like this, where you talk about sexuality, where you come in and talk about nobody should touch you. If you go to somebody to write you a letter to Japa and they ask you to do naked stuff, because I know a particular guy that does it all the time. I won't mention names. That's one of the reasons why we fight a lot. Kids will come to me, 17, 18, 19-year-old young men will call me and say, "Hey, Auntie Moji, this is who I called and this is what I asked for and this is what he asked for." Right? And I'm big. I'm huge. I'm huge on transparency, because that's the only way other people can learn from your story, right? What are we doing for the next generation? I don't know what everybody else is doing. All I know is that this year in 2024, my wife and I are picking up 100 Nigerian students. We don't care where you're from. We don't care if you're gay. We don't care if you're straight, because we came to the conclusion that we cannot only educate gay people. If you only educate gay people, majority of the population are straight. So we have to enlighten everybody. Plus, when their parents know, I've spoken to 4 or 5 parents who are so holy. Jesus Christ, God can't get a seat in their church. And once I'm done speaking to them and they go out and do research on me, right? And my wife, They come back and say, hey, I didn't know that gay people could reach this kind of heights. I didn't know that gay people could be this, they could not be that, because they don't see that. What they see is the naked brigade. What they see is people doing skits. Nothing wrong with skits makers, but we need a 360 view of an LGBTQIA person all the way to Z. Chimamanda said, there's a problem, I'm just paraphrasing here, with a one-dimensional story. We need to start focusing more on the homo part and not just the sex part. There's more to me as a homosexual. There's more to Miss Ella as a trans woman. There's so many dimensions of us that people can find a connection to. When I sit on a stage in a Nigerian church group and I say I am a mother and I say yes, I got married at 36 to a man because society forced me to, and this and this and this is what I did, and I tried to take my own life because I thought God did not like me. Guess what? Somebody, 2 people, 3 people with children in the congregation that are gay will hopefully hear me. And I say hopefully because I'm not a magician, but usually one person will come to me and say, oh my God, thank you for sharing your story. But what we see in the Nigerian LGBTQ community, we don't want our children to be that. And then I have to tell a lot of us out there, we just don't shout. We don't, because if I go there with a short skimpy outfit, trust me, I'll get 10,000 followers. I don't need 10,000 followers. I want the people who my message resonates with to hear me. And hear us, because Moji, what I say might not resonate with somebody. What Dr. Igosa says might resonate. What Miss Ella says might resonate. So we need different voices out there. And that's how we'll change the narrative. Again, I'm so sorry you went through what you went through. And I commend you on your courage for speaking your truth. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Auntie Moji. Very, very insightful. By my time, we should be rounding off. We ought to round off this event by 8:50. So I would be handing over to Pelumi to say the final words while we call it a day. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here, and God bless you all.
All right, thank you so much, Ayo. Let me start first by appreciating everyone again. Everyone who has taken their time out of their busy schedules to be a part of this session. Just like Auntie Moji said, the people that joined this session today are people that are the real change makers. We want to experience a change in this community and in the world globally. So I would say that I deeply appreciate everyone. Thank you so much, from the speakers to the listeners to everyone who joined, who climbed on stage to say one or two things. Thank you so much. It's been an insightful conversation so far. We started this session at about past 8, and we're still here by past 8 p.m. Nigerian time. I commend our patience, and I want to believe that we would put into good use everything that we have heard from all the speakers who have contributed in the commemoration of the Orbit 2024. I really hope to, I hope we can always do this often, and I believe that we are all going to see the change that we have been hoping for. So I don't know if Yemi, the executive director for Positive Champions Health and Right and the Empowerment Initiative, has something to say before we call it a day. Yemi, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
He probably has a network issue. The network is crazy.
Hello?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will just add this to everything. It's been a very insightful deliberation. I will just add this to encourage every one of us. It's the little drops and the ripple effects of what we do. And let's see, just like ripple happens, just a little drop will spread across. I think we should see ourselves that way and do what we can to change the narrative and create a positive environment and positive visibility for our community and shine our light so that others will see and buy into it. Now, it will take time, it will take a lot of work, and it has to be intentional from us, but I think that a step at a time, a light at a time, and if I shine mine here and Pelumi shines his light and Auntie Moji shines ours and makes Ella shines, Akapel shines, Dumebi shines, Ayobami shines, together collectively we will make a huge difference, and that's how it works. So let's bear it in mind that we are trying to create a ripple effect that will touch other people one step at a time, and let's use that to encourage ourselves. And once again, I want to thank all our speakers that made out the time to be here, and everyone that made out time to also listen. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night or day, whichever time of the day that you are, wherever you are in any part of the world. I also noticed Stephen Kobayi, he was listening to the call. Thank you for joining us. Pelumi, over to you.
All right, thank you so much. So this is where we call it a day. I just to remind everyone that we're Appears to Oneself Support and Rights Initiative, and we are an organization that provides a range of services from human rights to gender-based violence to sexual health and sexual and reproductive health services. We provide PrEP, condoms, and every service that you can actually think of to make the LGBTQI community better. So feel free to reach out to us on any of our social media platforms, and we would respond to you at our earliest convenience. So thank you everyone, and have a lovely night. Have a lovely day from wherever you are.
Everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Blessings. Bye.
Bye.